Since his nerf, Arishem has been argued by many to be too strong, and argued by just as many to be too weak. And I think that means that I have the Goldilocks take. Arishem is just right now, and I think this is the best build for the big guy. With that in mind, let's talk about the peculiarities of new Arishem. Since your energy ramp only starts on turn 3, you are very interested in 4 drops that snowball. Doom 2099 is a massive addition to this deck, alongside Galacta. Both of these cards are very good in Arishem and are able to meaningfully upgrade the deck so that it has a facsimile of the power it had before the nerf. This is a major part of how this deck wants to play. It has these 2 drops that are kind of okay, and then it has these big swingy 4 drops. Those 4 drops, in my opinion, are about the best cards in the deck. Valentina is another major addition to Arishem after the loss of Agent Coulson, because we are now no longer able to Agent Coulson on 2. Curving Valentina into a 6 drop on turn 3 because of that 4 energy is one of the better starts that we have. Cable is in here because he's playing a bit of a budget Valentina role. Right now, I'm on no Loki in my Arishem deck because I don't think that Loki is a good fit for this metagame, and it's especially not a good fit for a deck that plays Doom 2099. This metagame seems very heavy on bounce type stuff. Loki is typically bad into that anyway. And you definitely don't want to be playing a bunch of extra cards with your Doom 2099. The rest of the deck is mostly what you remember it being, with 2 notable exceptions that I would like to describe as basically just flex slots here. And I think, it's 2 that are very obvious, and then 1 that is potentially a little bit more hidden. The 2 obvious flex slots are Killmonger and Lady Deathstrike. These are basically slots that you're going to want to use to adapt to the metagame as best you can. What I'm doing with Killmonger and Lady Deathstrike is trying to counterplay against various bounce decks, against various clog decks that are popping up in the wake of Doom 2099. In addition, this can deal with a lot of different weird situations that you may run into, things like Iron Man, things like Agent Venom. These cards are pretty reasonable into spots like that. They're not necessarily the best cards to run, though, and that's why I would consider them flex slots. It's possible we want to get Shang-Chi and Shadow King back in here. It's possible we're looking for something like Sandman if bounce becomes a much larger portion of the metagame. It's possible we're even trying to play as greedily as Invisible Woman Killmonger if that ends up happening. There's a lot of different options that we have for this, and it's not going to matter in every game, but these are the cards that give you cube equity when they are unexpected. It's also possible you just want to play Claw or something, although I think the inclusion of both Doom and Doom 2099 drops the utility of that card quite a bit. The point is, those 2 slots are yours to customize as you see fit. Right now, since I did my video on this list about a couple days ago where it was included in my top 6 Doom decks list, it has become the most played version of this deck at top 10% infinite per untapped stats. This means that a lot of the time at the top end of the game, you can expect these specific cards, and you will get some benefit from changing them around so that people aren't playing around the things that you actually have in the deck. The third, flex slot I would say here is Copycat. Copycat, to me, was a reaction to a lot of Doom 2099 being here, because a lot of Doom 2099 decks have a lot of really good stuff to copy off of a Copycat. In a vacuum, I think a lot of the time I'd want to play a Red Guardian here, except a lot of the things that Red Guardian answers are also things that Lady Deathstrike and Killmonger can answer. So we end up in a bit of a weird situation with that spot. It could end up being, another scaling 4 if we want it, like Gwenpool or something, or it could end up being a wide variety of things. Shang-Chi, Shadow King, everything we talked about with the other 2 flex slots. I don't think people tend to understand Copycat as a flex slot in this deck, but I do think that she really is in the world where we do not have the ability to play her on turn 2. She was a lot better when we were doing stuff like that, and she still can high roll and justify her existence in the deck, but I would consider her a real flex spot rather than a card that is required to play the deck. The rest of the list is fairly straightforward. Legion, technically a flex spot, but I really don't have any better ideas. Maybe a Vision. Dr. Doom, not a flex spot anymore. Mockingbird, not a flex spot. Eliath, not a flex spot. Obviously, Arishem, not a flex spot. The rest of the deck, I think, should make sense from there. Cable is a fairly unique card in this deck because one of the main weaknesses of Arishem is when it just isn't able to play good cards. Your opponents are generally playing good cards, or at least better cards than you would randomly generate. So Cable effectively ends up being just draw a card that is probably better than half the cards in your deck, and that's a valuable thing for this archetype. Valentina is the new Agent Coulson, and I do think that she is absolutely worth picking up if you plan on playing Arishem. I would consider her a staple card in this archetype. Being able to go from 2 to 4 is what this deck is about. Valentina on 2, 6-drop on 4, or on 3, I should say, with the 4 energy, you are in business almost all of the time. People have never really expected Killmonger out of an Arishem deck, and it lets them get a little bit sloppy. I don't think this is necessarily the optimal forever choice for this spot. I think Shadow King, Shang-Chi, all a little bit more obvious in my opinion, but it is a reasonable one. And I think a lot of what being good at Arishem is going to be about is trying to burn people with these flexible tech card slots. Copycat is not as good as you think, but she is still just good enough that you are very happy to have her in the list because she's a 3-drop that can be as strong as a 4-drop, so you don't end up losing too much tempo if you don't have Galacta on 3 or Dr. Doom 2099 on 3. This guy is dope in this deck. Getting him out on turn 3 is like 26 total power, not counting any other Dooms. You do have some board space concerns when you do stuff like this, but the basic premise of what Arishem is right now, to me, is built around this and Galacta, your other 4. The basic idea is you get like a bunch of power out of them, you just play them on turn 3, and you get an extra turn of activation. With Doom 2099, that extra turn stacks. With Galacta, it doesn't. But that does mean that Doom 2099 is your better or better one of these two to play on turn 3 because stacking that, getting that extra value is very important. That should not make you think anything less of Galacta, though. She is a very, very powerful card, and being a 4/15 effectively when you play her on turn 3, like that's really all you need to say about what this card is and what this card does. You will get 15 power out of her if you play her on turn 3. That is exactly what the doctor ordered. And it's not the kind of 15 power that your opponent can interact with easily because it's split up over multiple cards across multiple lanes. So you end up having like 15 power that can't be Shang-Chi'd. Extremely strong. Lady Deathstrike is a phenomenal answer to opposing Doom 2099s, but as the metagame moves towards Doom 2099 hard counters like Bounce, like the various sort of Sasquatch Mockingbird Mysterio decks that are popular right now, this card loses a little bit of her luster and can very easily be replaced with something that maybe does more in those matchups, like Sandman. A lot of Arishem is exploiting the wide range available to you to make snaps that your opponent is more or less unable to understand the cause of, and Legion is a card that allows you to do this. It's not necessarily the greatest curve-out 5 of all time, but it's not that bad, and you have your 4s covering for the lack of power when you have a card like this, so you're able to afford running something that is like only a 5/7. I say only a 5/7. It's like not that bad. But what Legion brings is the ability to just like randomly win games, and that is incredibly useful. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for running Dr. Doom in Arishem decks because of the Mockingbird synergy, but it never seemed to make the cut before Doom 2099 entered the deck. Now, that's not to say it wasn't a good option. It actually was very often like the 3rd or 4th best thing to be doing. It's just you only had room for like Eliath, Mockingbird, Magneto, and now the sort or Blob or Gore or what have you, and now the sort of equation has changed a little bit such that Doom ends up being at least on that tier with Magneto as a justifiable option. We're playing the Fart Cloud. There's really no two ways around it. The Fart Cloud is excellent. You're a deck that really does get ahead, especially when you start snowballing those 4-drops. Stopping your opponents from playing cards that actually do things is very, very good. I will also note that this card did get nerfed, and you should pay attention to that because I know it seems like only one power point of difference doesn't really matter that much. It's mattered in multiple games that I've played. This card rocks. Mockingbird is kind of the major driving force behind this deck existing, I think, because it just does so much to your range, where we've talked a lot about like your range being almost entirely unknowable, and like the fact that your range could be anywhere from like, you know, Eliath Mockingbird to like Doctor Doom Mockingbird to like randomly generated card like all of this stuff makes it very difficult to play final turns against this deck, and Mockingbird is the number one driver of that. With Doom 2099 synergy, normal Doctor Doom synergy, you are making this card cheaper than ever before. Arishem is, in my view, a fundamentally balanced card now. I really don't think there's a good case for trying to nerf it. I really don't think there's a great case for trying to buff it. I think they've got it. I think this is where this card is meant to be. I think another great 4-drop could push him over the top again, but I don't know that we're in line to get anything that's of the level of Doom 2099 and Galacta, because Doom 2099 especially feels tailor-made for this archetype, to the point that I almost wonder if they nerfed it because of that. Like, Doom 2099 is a scaling 4-drop that this deck gets to play a turn early that makes dudes that discount Mockingbird as part of the scaling. Like it's kind of a crazy card in this deck. I think it's pretty easily the best card in the deck, personally. And so when you have that in a deck like this, I can understand sort of the thought process there as to like why they had to get that done, but I don't really think that's the reason. It's just something that does occur to me is like, man, imagine if we had old Arishem, this would be pretty crazy, right? As is, I think this is a pretty good deck. I was worried Arishem would be like a 50% win rate or below, but I think it's about, you know, above 50% again. And I think that's a pretty good space for this deck to exist in. I personally think that Arishem was an extremely popular card because people genuinely do enjoy playing with it. And I think that the reason people enjoy playing with it is not specifically tied to the fact that it's like good or anything like that. They want it to be good enough to win with, but I think people play Arishem to have a certain experience. And if you like having that experience, this is absolutely the only deck that's going to deliver it to you. And so I think it's a good thing that it's in a relatively balanced state and not a very broken one, and not one that's worth complaining about. I haven't seen much Arishem complaining recently, and I'm very grateful for that because I was getting really tired of having it on every single episode of the Takes show. So, with that said, I have been KM Best. You have been phenomenal. We're going to jump into the gameplay now, and I will see you in the next one. Please remember to like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I hope if you're 12 minutes into it, that answer is yes. Agent is God now. Hey, I'll take this. These are just actual cards I can play. We're both Arisheming. I do like the Fenris. I am interested. Hey, the Fenris is about to get an Ebony. Perfect. Yep. I actually think I'm supposed to Goblin on one of these turns. I don't know if it's this one, though. It might be this one. Dude, am I dead? I needed that Doombot to go to the right. Okay, we're good. That was really scary. That was super scary. I think that's basically the gist. They're afraid of Arishem the middle. Hello, Vision. Aren't you nice? Yeah, got him. What the fuck? I'll stay. I don't like staying, but I will. Blows up at least a Doombot. So we go to 14. They get 3. They get an additional 6 from an actual Doom. I don't think we beat an actual Doom, right? What if we just played for numbers here? Would this beat a Doom? We just go for this? Just straight up numbers here? Maybe they have a Magneto. Do they have a Magneto or do they have a Doom? Is really our ultimate question. I'll play around the Doom. I could lose to a Magneto. We'll see. We played around the Doom. So, going back in time here, let's say we had moved this copycat, gone to 14, and played the Lady Deathstrike in the middle. It would have blown up one Doom bot, but they would have still had 15 here, which is why we had to do the other play. Oh, I mean... dude? Oh my god, wait. I'm an idiot. I shouldn't have played the Nightcrawler. I hate the way she does this. Surely this is like at least a little foolproof, right? God, please don't Lady Deathstrike me next turn, Agatha. Oh, fuck, dude. I'll stay in, but I regret this already. Alright, Lady Deathstrike, the middle lane. You know what? I'll do it. So they have a Dr. Doom. If I full soak for She-Hulk, they have to Agatha on 6. Oh wait, that's true. So if I do this, and I get another guy, it adds 3 to the right. They play Agatha on the left lane. They get another guy, they add 2 to the right. Is there any way for me to play around this? I don't believe there is. I think we're just sitting here on Agatha does something, and then we roll. Because we add 3 to the right, they add 2, they get a Doombot, they add 2 more. If the Doombot doesn't go over here, we win. So we're on a pure 50-50, I believe. Oh, wait. No, we just win the middle. Do we? I don't know. Yes? Yeah. We couldn't lose. Oh my god, M'Baku! The 8-cube casserole M'Baku! Let's fucking go. M'Baku won me an 8-cuber. I mean, technically, he won us an 8-cuber there. Technical 8-cube winner, M'Baku. No. My fucking Killmonger Lady Deathstrike hand? Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez. Oh, jeez, Rick. Oh, jeez, Rick. Yeah, it is nice. If that's a Doom 29... Oh my god, we're popping off. Right? This is insane. Yes? They Psylocked into this, we totally invalidated. Let's go. I'm so glad they didn't play that shit on Wakanda. Holy fuck. Get out of here. The Throat Goat Lady Deathstrike. The Throat Goat Lady Deathstrike. Wait, there's still drops on right now? Is that true, or is everyone else lying to me? Are there actually drops on right now? That can't be right. Holy shit. More minutes? I see. Please don't go over there. Please don't buff that shit again. Please go on Savage Lance. Fuck. Dude, that would have been such a blowout. Devastating. I mean, it's not nothing. Ow. Sure. Killmonger seems quite bad since that Doom is going off. It takes away the 4 on M'Baku. Gives him space for an extra Doom. We can't win the right lane otherwise. We literally just cannot win. We cannot win this lane. We do not have enough points. We do not have 6 points to go there. We have Blink, and hopefully she'll make it all not matter, you know? Yo! I'm a genius, dude. Never doubt me.